Welcome back, all my mindful seekers. Today we are going to debunk ADD or ADHD. For some people, they can find it hard to pay attention or even find themselves fidgeting with the things that surround them on their desk, in their car, anything they can get their hands on, they're fidgeting with. And if you might associate with this, or you say to yourself, I do that a lot, then you might be struggling from this disorder. The first thing you might be asking yourself is, Dolores, what is ADHD or ADD? Well, this is a developmental disorder associated with an ongoing pattern of inattention, hyperactivity, or impulsivity. The symptoms of this disorder can interfere significantly with the individual's daily activities and relationships. Now, this can begin in childhood and can continue into your teen years and into adulthood. So, a lot of you might not realize that many children and young adults struggle with this disorder. This can cause them to have trouble staying on track or focusing on one task at a time because for them, it seems very easy to jump from one thing to another. See, this disorder causes children problems with paying attention in school, how they make friends, and how they will function later in life in society. When children have trouble staying on track, it causes them to fall behind. And it can seem fairly easy for them to be forgetful about homework and important events. And often, children that suffer from this disorder are labeled as troublemakers because they can find it hard to listen to someone when they're talking without them interrupting them. They lose things easily, and they can also be easily distracted by unrelated thoughts. When given a long task, if they can find it extremely hard to complete it without being sidetracked. So for children who have ADHD, they can go from one thing to another. So they can go from playing with one thing to wanting food to all of a sudden wanting to read, and they can jump from thing to thing. And when you have ADHD too, when someone's talking to you, you find it easy to distract them and start talking about something in the middle, or you have this eager feeling that you want to say something to interrupt them. And a lot of the times it's because your brain is going on overdrive with when someone says something and it reminds you of something else. It's these thoughts that come into play that you're like, oh, I can associate with this. And instead of wanting to wait your turn, you kind of butt in and over talk that person, and then it could make people upset. So with children, they kind of have to learn early on to let the person finish talking before you start talking. And that's something you can actually teach them once you've learned if your child is suffering from this disorder. And they can get distracted very easily. So in class, if your teacher is talking about something, instead of paying attention, they could be wandering, or their mind is going on to different subjects or things that are going on in their life that they're just constantly thinking about. And because that makes it hard for them to pay attention, they might miss the lesson or miss something the teacher said, or plainly just missed everything during that class because they weren't paying attention and they were somewhere else. It's kind of like daydreaming. When someone is talking to you, instead of listening to what they're saying, you're kind of daydreaming about your day or something that happened yesterday or what you're going to eat later, and you're distracting yourself from really paying attention to that person. See, and this causes a lot of parents or teachers to identify them as growing pains or them just being a kid. So I think once you get into becoming a teenager and adult, it can be something that when you realize that you're like, okay, you're doing this a lot. Why are you doing this? Let's figure it out. And with kids, you're just like, they're being kids, they interrupt you, or they ask questions, or they do this and this and this, and it's just them growing up and growing pains, and it's just them being themselves. But really, in reality, it's because they're suffering from this disorder and you just don't realize it because they're just being a child. So when I say they're being troublemakers, it's because they fidget, they move around, they have trouble staying still, they talk excessively, they have trouble waiting their turn, and they're interrupting the people again when they're talking. So This could be something that once your child starts to get a little bit older, you could start identifying those symptoms in them. Are they fidgeting a lot and moving around? Are they having trouble staying seated and staying still and being focused on one thing? Are they talking excessively and having trouble waiting their turn, and they're interrupting you when you're talking because they're just so eager? It's some of those things to pay attention to. And for me, I have never been diagnosed with ADD, but I definitely feel like I have it because as an adult, I can see myself doing that. Is when people are talking about something, I can feel that like itchiness in the back of my throat or in my mind that's like, oh, I can relate to this. But I've had to learn to not interrupt people in my life. Even with my fiance, I've learned that when I interrupt him when he's talking or interrupt people in the middle of a sentence, it upsets them and makes them not want to finish what they were saying. So I've had to learn to kind of, wait my turn and listen to them. So then when they're done, I can start talking. And I find myself fidgeting. I bite my lip or I pick the skin on my fingers, and I find myself always like fidgeting with something, and I often find it very hard to stick with one thing at a time. So if I am say scripting out episodes for this podcast, I can find it really easy to get distracted with my phone and go on my phone and scroll, get distracted and go on YouTube. Or I can watch a movie and I have to be on my phone, or I have to be playing a game. Like, I always find it hard to like focus on one thing. And when me and my fiance now watch movies, it's the cell phone has to stay on the table and I can't touch it or look at it. And I find it sometimes hard to do that because I want something else to pay attention to, and I want something else to get my attention. And you could find yourself, again, excessively talking about things and bringing up one subject and going to the next subject, because sometimes the silence of not talking kind of kills you because your brain is constantly moving. So most adults won't even realize they have it. Like me, I was in middle school when one of my teachers asked my mom if I had ever been tested for it, mostly because in class I was always distracted and always kind of daydreaming, and when she would ask me questions about what was going on, I really wasn't paying attention, or I didn't even know that she was talking. So it was one of those things that early on a teacher had noticed, but I had never been tested for it. And the older that I get, the more that I realize and associate with some of the symptoms that come along with it. I'm like, yeah, that could definitely be something I'm struggling with. So I would be interested within the near future to be tested for some of these things and be diagnosed with them, because then it would be one of those things where I'm like, this makes sense of why I am the way I am, and the things I did as a kid, and the questions I did, and the talking and the interrupting, like it would all make sense. So as an adult, if you have it and don't know you have it, it can make it feel impossible to get organized, stick to a job, remember keeping appointments, and your daily tasks can feel very challenging, such as getting up in the morning, preparing to leave for the day, arriving on time, and being productive. I don't know why this made me think of every morning I wake up and I give myself enough time in the morning to wake up, drink my coffee, exercise, eat breakfast, pack, and then leave for work. And for some reason, between after working out, eating breakfast, and packing and then leaving, I always feel like I'm running out of time because I'm trying to do other things while doing that. Like, I decide I'm going to do my hair. Okay, well, that's going to take me 15 to 20 minutes. And I decided now I have to fold laundry. My mind is always constantly going, and I'm jumping from thing to thing to thing, that sometimes I can run behind on the things that are important to me or the things that I need to get done. So of course, this can cause problems, not just for me, but for other people, cause problems schooling, working, and relationships. So the same with children. You can feel restless and may try to do several things at the same time. Most of the time, unsuccessfully, because you're trying to do so many things. You start doing this thing, and then you're like, oh no, let's do this thing. It's kind of like cleaning the house. You start with cleaning the kitchen, and then you see something you go in the front room and you see that the blankets on the couch are messed up. Okay, well, I'm going to fix the blankets on the couch. And then you see a piece of clothing. Oh, I'm going to take this piece of clothing upstairs. Oh, I have a lot of clothes. I guess I should do laundry. Now I'm going to do laundry, and you're passing the kitchen and you see all the dirty dishes. Oh, I got to do the dishes. So you put down the clothes to do the dishes. And then maybe you have kids. So your kids come in and ask you to make you something. Okay, stop doing the dishes. I'm going to make you something. Oh no, there's the laundry. And you're constantly always going from one thing to another, so then you forget to finish one thing before you go to the next thing. So it can be very challenging to even do anything normally in life because you're always constantly jumping from one thing to another, to another, to another, and you're unsuccessfully completing the thing you started. So this could have issues with school. This could have issues with work. When you start a project and then you jump to something else forgetting that project, and then eventually that project is due for school or even for work and you haven't completed it because you have jumped to so many different things that you forgot to focus on the thing that you started. So for us, a lot of things that we try to do is we try to do the quick fixes. Well, how can we fix this? Okay, I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to give myself time. Oh, no, I can't do that, so I'm going to do this. And you keep trying to do like, what's the quick fix? How can I fix this quickly? Instead of taking the steps you need to gain the greater reward. So instead of saying, I'm just going to quick fix this and say, throw something together real fast and say, that's my project, and then you end up not getting a good grade because you didn't focus the time. Instead, you could stop and say, okay, what are the steps I could take to finish this project that's due, let's say tomorrow? Okay, I can sit and I can say, what are all the stuff I need for this project? Okay, do I have all that? Okay, let's get all that stuff. Okay, now that I have all the stuff for the project, let's do step by step of how I'm going to put it together. And then say, maybe set a timer. Okay, I'm going to give myself 2 hours to finish this, and I have to finish it in that time frame. So then in that time frame, you're sitting and you're focusing only on that project. And then when you're done, you can move on. I think this could be important to have maybe like a planner for your life, and every day you wake up and you say, from this time to this time I'm doing this, from this time to this time I'm doing this. And then during that time you only focus on that one thing. It can be very helpful to plan out your day so you know exactly what you're doing and the time frame you're doing it in. Because your brain is always constantly moving and going and thinking of other things, it's easy to say, oh, like I said, just cleaning, jumping from dishes to doing laundry, to walking the dog, to playing with the kids. And then you forget those things that were important to you or those things that you need to get done. So another thing I learned is, just like many other mental health disorders, researchers aren't sure what causes this disorder, but suggest that genetics play a big role. And there's a lot of disorders that they're like, I really just don't know what causes this. I'm going to say it's something to do with genetics and someone in your family has it or struggles from it, and that's probably where you got it from. So just like a lot of mental health disorders, it's very important to reach out to your doctor to find out more understanding about what you're dealing with and what you can do to help. Or if you don't go to the doctor, it could be very resourceful for you to go on the internet and research it. With researching all of these different disorders like depression, anxiety, and even reading the stuff for ADD or ADHD, there's a lot of stuff for me that I'm like, I associate with that. Like, that could definitely be something I'm struggling with. And for a lot of people, yes, when they go to the doctor, you're like, oh, you want to prescribe me something for it? And you're like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to be on medication and I don't want to do the things that the doctor says. So it like prevents you from wanting to go. But it is a good thing to like figure out. And if you don't want medicine or whatever your doctor prescribes, then you can politely tell them, no, you don't want that, but your doctor is going to try to help you. First, they're going to start with medication to help you, and then they'll also ask you if you want to do psychotherapy and have a support group. But with medicine, therapy may help individuals better cope with their daily challenges, and therapy is especially helpful if suffering from other mental health disorders. So if you're taking medication, obviously if you're taking medication for other things, you tell your doctor so then you can be prescribed something. And then if you feel like that's working but you want to take a step further, you can do psychotherapy and get support. And therapy can be very helpful for you if you are suffering from multiple different things than just one disorder, because medication, if you're suffering just from one disorder, can help you out extremely good. But if you're suffering from a lot more than just that one thing, psychotherapy and therapy and having support is going to help you even more, like understand everything that's going into all the different disorders that you have and how it's like coming together to play in your daily life. Researchers show that therapy might not be that effective in treatment for the core symptoms of ADD. However, adding therapy to your treatment plan may help individuals cope with their daily challenges. Therapy is especially helpful if this disorder co-occurs with other mental disorders such as anxiety and depression. So psychotherapy includes cognitive behavior therapy. This might help an adult with this disorder become more aware of attention and concentration challenges and work on the skills that improve organization and use of time in completing daily tasks. For example, they might help individuals break down larger tasks into smaller ones that are more manageable with the steps that they can put into place. This can also help people with this disorder gain confidence and control impulsive and risky behaviors. Some adults also might find it helpful to get support from a professional life coach or ADD coach who can help them with difficult tasks to improve daily functioning. So I think one of the biggest things is that, of course, you might not notice this in your child, but when you have a teenager that might be showing symptoms, or as an adult, you might hear this and be like, oh my gosh, yes, I associate with like all of this. You can reach out to your doctor and you can figure it out. If it's not something that's playing like a big role in your life and it's not distracting or keeping you from doing things, it might not be that much of a problem. It becomes a problem when you can't get things done, when things are late, you're always late to work, you can't finish projects, you're always constantly going from things to things to things to things, that it might be time to go to your doctor and say, hey, I'm dealing with this. I think I might have this disorder. What are the procedures I can put in place to figure out what I need, and if I need medication or if I need to go talk to a therapist to make this better. So for a lot of you, you're going to hold yourself back and say, well, what are the things I can do to help myself? Well, here are some things that can help you help yourself if you don't want to do therapy or don't want to be on medication. You can exercise regularly, especially when you're feeling hyperactive or restless. You can eat regularly healthy meals, get plenty of sleep. So try to turn off your TVs an hour before bedtime and try to get to 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Work on time management and organization. Prioritize time-sensitive tasks and write down assignments, messages, appointments, and important thoughts. Because your mind is always constantly going and because you jump from thing to thing to thing to thing, and because it can be very easy for you to forget what you were just thinking about or what you were just doing, that's why I said getting like a daily planner where you can every morning sit down and write down what your plans are for the day, and then maybe in a different color, like if you're doing like blues, blacks, get a red pen and write down the important things that you need to do, like calling your doctor or school project needs to get done or work project or something that you need to complete that day. Write those things in red and then time block when you're going to get those things done, because it's going to be more of a way to get yourself organized and do your time management during the day, if you start your morning off with the intention of saying, these are the things I want to get done today, and this is how I'm going to get done, and then keep yourself on track. Like, have that notebook next to you so you can look at it all day long and say, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to do laundry. Okay, well, now it's 12 and I'm going to do lunch. So from 12 to 12:30, I'm going to do lunch. And then at 12:30, I'm going to start working on writing my book. Okay, from 2 to 4, I'm going to give myself 2 hours to write, and then maybe put on music in the background to help you focus. I realized for me, when my mind is always like rambling, I put headphones in and I put like background music that's like concentration for studying. I go on YouTube and I put it on, and that like helps me focus on the one thing that's going on. And with the music playing, I'm really honing in onto that one thing that is right in front of me that I need to do. So you could do that. And just blocking out the times during the day will help you just stay on track and help you remember the things that you want to get done and you want to accomplish. Another thing is to connect with people and maintain relationships. Schedule activities with friends, particularly supportive people who understand the challenges that you're going through with the disorder. And if you're taking medication, please take it as directed and avoid drinking alcohol, using tobacco, or drugs while you're taking the medication. Like I said, when I started researching and really honing in on different disorders, and especially like this one in particular, there were a lot of things that I'm like, wow, I associate with this so much. And it's one of those things where you can feel very alone with this disorder because adults with this disorder may gain social support and better community skills by talking to your families and friends and colleagues about what you're going through. If the people in your life are aware of your disorder, they will better understand your behaviors. And psychotherapy for families and couples can be helpful to help with relationship problems and teach everyone involved with this disorder more about it. And you can also get support groups. So when you're interrupting someone talking or you're jumping from task to task to task, it's easier for the people around you or even your coworkers to understand why you might be doing the things you're doing, so they can understand that it's just how you react or how you're doing things, or you're with your fidgeting things. If you have a pen that you're like clicking and it is annoying somebody, they might not realize you're doing it because that's your fidget. That's the thing you chose to do. Like with me, biting my lip or playing with my fingers and the little like cuticles around your fingers, like picking at it, is my fidget. So if you're doing that and somebody's like, oh my gosh, why are you doing that? And they might not understand why you're doing it, to explain to them, hey, I suffer from ADD or ADHD, and these are the things that I do, and I might interrupt you and I don't mean to, or I'm going to fidget with my pen. If it annoys you, please let me know. So then they're more aware of what you're going through, so then you don't feel so alone or feel so isolated, or people don't get upset when you're doing something and they don't understand why you're doing it, and then they get upset with you and that makes you upset. If you explain to them what's going on and you help them understand, then they'll be able to help you more or point it out when you're doing something, or just say, hey, I know you said that you're fidget, you're doing it. Could you not do it so much? And that could make you more aware of the things that you're doing around the people in your life and at work. So of course, getting more information and researching and learning more, or reaching out to your doctor and finding out more about this, is going to be your best bet. I make these episodes mainly to bring them into awareness, because there are people that suffer from all these different disorders I talk about, and I think it's very important to be aware of the things people can be struggling with, because again, yes, in this world right now, we are slowly gaining momentum to be very open about mental health, but there are a ton of people who are scared to talk about it, who are scared to figure out what their family's going to think, what their friends are going to think, what the people they work with are going to think. So they're scared to tell anybody what they're going through. And because of the ways the media talks about it, it can be scary to reach out for help. And that's kind of like with therapy. For the longest time, people are like, when you go to therapy, you're crazy. So when you think, oh my gosh, if I go to therapy, someone's going to think I'm crazy, I'm not going to do it. Please reach out for help when you need it. Figure out what you need to do for you to take care of you and to take care of the people around you. It's important to take care of your mental health. Figure out how to really focus on it, get better at it, the practices you can put into place, and the way you can take care of yourself, because you are your number one priority. And when you're struggling with a mental health illness, it is at your top priority to just take care of yourself and keep yourself going, because nobody else is going to do that for you but you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and like always, I want you to remember that you are never alone and that I love you. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. You know what would be so cool? If you guys could share, like, comment my episodes. It is so helpful to know what you guys like and what you guys want to hear, and it'll help my podcast get out there more if you're liking it and sharing it, so other people can come by and also be able to hear episodes that might help them too. So I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye!